woke up and gave a conscious effort to make sure you small minds get the larger message. Fuck the paper, fuck the house you dressin'. If you ain't got bars to back it up, it's not impressive. Who run it? Who run it? Who run it? Who run it?
Now, fast forward to, you're 16. What's going on in your life at 16?
Oh, man, 16 years old on the Lower East Side.
You almost about to be a man, really.
It was different. At 16, okay, so I had did a little brief stint prior to that in DFY. I had went up north as a young kid, a DFY called my first drug case. The first time I actually got locked up. So I told you about the first time I got my first experience with it.
Yeah.
And I remember that, but the first time I actually got locked up, sentenced and the whole thing, I was like, I think 13, and I got locked up for selling drugs. Again, little young niggas looking out. I grew up. I know how to get drugs. Cop up drugs, and all that. I mean, so in 1986, when 87, when like the crack really started hitting. You know what I mean? That's when young niggas really got money. We started. That was the young nigga era, right? Ushered in a different era. Before that was like big coke and big dope money, right? So crack was a lot of young dudes getting money. So I started venturing into dealing with crack, and I started getting money early on in my neighborhood. Me and a bunch of other young dudes. We had a little crack spot.
That young?
And back then, I had I remember I was walking from the block on the Lower East Side. I was walking up Houston Street, being two other kids, and I was actually coming from another crack spot. That wasn't even our spot, actually. I had another spot by Forsyth in the park, and me and two of my little mans, we was over there and we was selling crack, and actually we were cutting throat everywhere we went. So now we walking and we coming up the block, and we turned down Ridge and Staten, and they had a crack spot there. It was called Rainbow, and I was actually cutting throat, and I was selling my crack on the block. And I mean, I wound up getting to meet them dudes and knowing them, and actually getting money with them. They were influencers on me as well as a young kid. But I was selling crack, and I had like 2 bundles on me, and the other dudes had like fucking half a bundle or whatever. Because they had finished, I had more work than they had. So as we walking, and this custody comes up to me, this little white chick. And she comes up to me and she's like, yo, you got something? Because there's young dudes in this area. I looked the part, you know what I mean? So she just comes up to me. So I'm like, yeah, I got something. So she was like, yo, let me get a bundle. So I was like, that's $100 right there. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, no doubt. So I'm like, it was way right there. Boom. So I had 2 bundles on me. So I go into my drawers. And I pull out this bundle. I'm standing between 2 cars, and when I come out, I serve her the bundle. So she gives me the money. I'm like, all right, cool. So I caught a lick. I'm thinking I caught a lick en route. You know what I mean? Fuck it. So I'm going. I get off their block because you cut niggas through it. Back then you could get your head cracked for that easy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking I caught this lick. I walk up the block and I hit Houston Street. And I start walking up, going towards Avenue D. And fucking and I'm walking out, and the boys, I see them, but the niggas, they jumped out. The niggas came, they caught us. They came up, they just jumped right out on us, man. Well, I remember I seen it in slow mo happening when I turned, cause I seen the fucking the boys, the blue and white came like that, and when they were coming down, the dude looked all out. Again, we looked apart in certain ways because there was a lot of young dudes in the era selling drugs. You know what I mean? So when I look like that and I follow the car, I seen the nigga jump out of the van behind us and come behind us, and the van pull up, and I was like, when I turned like that, and the van already came, boom, and the blue and white king followed them, and he boxed us in. I tried like that, nigga grabbed me, slammed me against the wall.
Damn.
Because back then I was like, you couldn't tell me I wouldn't juke your ass out, you know. Back then I tried to like get around that nigga, dodge him and dip. That nigga grabbed me, slammed me against the wall, and was like, you come in. So right off rip, I was already wrong because these other niggas froze and they stood there. I tried to dip on this nigga, and he grabbed me, and that was a wrap. The nigga was tight after that. So the whole way through, he was like, yo, they were like, he's the asshole. Fuck out of here.
So after that, you get detained, and you say you basically get charged sentence after that.
Yeah, I got caught. So anyway, I get charged.
You got caught with stuff on you and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. They called me with the money. Cause it turned out the chick for the bundle was a buy and bust.
So it was a setup already?
That was a drug block that I was walking through. Coming from where I was getting my money.
Okay.
Like these dudes, that was a big spot that they had. So further up, I was pitching because I was trying to catch the flow, like as they were going down to them. And when after we were done over there, I was walking down the block and I thought I caught a lick. A cutty was like, "Yo, I'm looking for a bundle," because she came up to me. So I was like, I got it because I had something on me. Technically, that was out of bounds because that wasn't where I was. That wasn't the spot. So I think that
wasn't even for you.
It wasn't. So I snatched it, being greedy. I snatched it, thinking like, "Oh shit!" On the humble, I caught it. Boom! I stand between the two cars. I get to work. I give it to her, grab the bread, and go and change where I was going. Instead of going up the block, I cut up the end block and hit another block and go up. And they were on me by that time. So they follow us, snatch us up and shit. But the first dudes I was with, they froze. I tried to run, and they snatched me up. So they put us in the precinct, called the niggas' families, sent them home, and put everything on me. You know what I'm saying? So they put everything on me and was like, yo, and they put all these other drugs on me and shit. And made it seem like I got, because they had some drugs on them, and they put everything on me and made it like it was me, and they locked me up in some Spofford. And
Spofford is what?
It was a jail for youths. Like it was like what you think of Rikers Island.
Yeah, that
comes to mind. Whatever horrors or whatever the fuck motherfuckers imagine about Rikers Island, when you think of Spofford, that's what it was like for the youth, for young kids under 18.
So it's violent.
Super violent.
Gangs wasn't prevalent?
It was gangs, but it wasn't like gangs when you think of like how you
Bloods and
like, it was more like our gang, like little crews, and it was more, back then it was more borough oriented. You know what I'm saying? So people would click up for what they're gonna do. What's up, baby? You good? Mm-hmm.
So how long do you spend in there, Spofford?
I go through the whole thing. I get locked up. I go to Spofford, and then they run me through. I'm there, so I see the courts and all that, and while I'm going back and forth to court, you got because you're young, so you start to see all the counselors. This is when they introduce you as a youth. This is when you become introduced to like the psychologists and the therapists and the counselors and the social workers, because now they're talking to you because you're a young kid. It's like you shouldn't be lashing out in this way. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be experiencing this anger, this frustration. On perpetrating violence as a 9, 10, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, you know what I mean? So, so I'll get introduced to now they're talking to these people, you know what I mean? So they wind up sending me from Spofford to a group home. And I go to a group home, there's like a processing center to the group home, and then you go from one to another. So I'm being introduced to this whole system of being in the care, custody, and control of the prison system very, very early on. You know what I mean?
So what was that experience like at Spofford? Like, what was that like? You know what I'm saying? Because, I'm sure it was tough, dudes. You know what I mean? Was it easy? Was it tough? Was it a lot of fights, or was it cool?
I think in my whole prison, I wound up doing as an adult. As a youth, not as an adult. I became an adult. But from the time that I was incarcerated to the time that I came, the whole duration, I think the most profound experience, and the most deadly, and I wound up being in very deadly situations and harmful with threat to myself and others during my time in prison. But by far, the most danger I've ever felt that I was ever in was when I was a kid and I was in Spofford. Spofford was a terrible place. Wow. It was a terrible. The way I seen kids being, and what made it so thing that made it the worst was that this was the youth. We were young kids perpetrating this to each other. This wasn't like a young kid who was abused by the commonality was that these were young youth who were abused by adults themselves. But in this setting, there were no adults. It was just youth. It was us. and we were savages towards each other, bro.
Like, what was a day like?
I seen young kids raping each other, beating up each other, like really mean to each other, like mutilate each other. For real, I seen young kids do mean. The first time I ever seen kids being raped, someone raped, it was with kids. There was one kid doing it to another kid. I mean, they were like 12 and 11, 10, and some shit like that. Maybe 13 and 12, some shit. Sharpening toothbrushes. I didn't see adults do that shit. I seen kids doing that.
Damn, so the kids was violent.
Very much so. Very much so. That's like just like when I would reach the island in the early 90s. C-74. If you look at, again, statistically, look at, not to boast, but C-74 at that time in New York City, the adolescent jail, so the range of age was 16 to 18, because once you turn 18, they send you to adults. So you was like 16, 17, 18 years old, right before 18, so between 16 and 17 years old, 18, so in that 3-year gap, the Rikers Island, adolescent, C-74 was the most violent place in America, bro. In the late 80s, early 90s, bro. Are you fucking kidding me? C-74.
In America?
Are you kidding? Google that. They used
Now, before we get into that, man, I want to, okay, so at 15, you get, so basically, that's like, you say you get locked up, so you come back after the group home, and you're back in the streets at 16.
Yeah.
So what's 16 years old like? Well, so you coming, like, off of the group?
Coming out of the group home and going up north as a DFY, I went to, like, Tryon, and it was, like, this place, like, where it's legendary because that's where Mike Tyson was discovered, where Customato discovered.
Okay.
So it's like this up north. It was in the Catskill Mountains, and it was like a camp setting, and you go there for whatever, So, but it
It's
was
like boot camp.
Yeah, it was very hard as well. You know what I mean? But I met some good people. You know what I mean? And I learned how to work out, and I learned how to read and shit like that up there. But it was tough too. A lot of tough boys because you got kids that have issues. Now we understand that kids had diagnosed now. They were displaying behavior that now is diagnosable.
Yes.
But back then it wasn't. You know what I mean? So
there's a lot of post-traumatic stress.
Post-traumatic stress.
Trauma, everything.
Of all sorts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
There's a pain distribution.
Absolutely. A lot of those kids will suffer with classic PTSDs now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, but... And like the meds wasn't as readily available as the way they do now, and that's another issue in itself. I don't condone it, but you know what I mean. It was just a very different place, man.
And just the way it's looked at and perceived.
But
so when do you get back on the streets at this time?
So I get out, and It's like 90. That happened in like 89. I get out in 91. I get out. I'm a young kid. It was a very tough time.
So you're 16 at this time.
Yeah, and I fought a lot of time. Being up north of DFY, a young Spanish, Puerto Rican kid, I fought a lot. Like, but there was a lot of black dudes. It was fucking racial as fuck.
It was like that?
Yeah, it was tough, man. I was a young, slim, small, little Spanish dude, and you had a lot of young black dudes who they big, like they young, they bodies, they big, and they bullies, and these, you know what I'm saying? And it was tough. DFY was definitely tough. Tryon was definitely tough. Spofford, Goshen, all that shit was real tough. You know what I mean? It shaped me. And when I came out, I was tough, man. You couldn't tell me I wasn't tough. When I got out of DFY. And I came right out into the streets, and it was different. It was early 90s in my hood, and it was a different vibe, but it was always still about getting money. You know what I mean? So that was my goal. I started trying to get money and messing with little chicks or whatever. And now we talking about early 90s, we talking about the club scene is popping in the Lower East Side. You know what I mean? So, I'm going to clubs and getting money and.
So you got right back to the streets getting money?
Back to it. I got right back because it was right there. It was in my neighborhood. It was right where I came home too. You know what I mean? So, but now I feel I'm built for it. I'm tougher. You know what I mean?
Smarter.
I just been through mad shit. I used to get into mad fights up north in DFY. For real.
Like, how many fights you got into?
Because back then it was like, for chairs, for TVs, dumb shit.
Okay.
Shit, that's my 3-seater. Shit like that. You got to fight for the chairs. Dumb shit. DFY shit. I mean, those who know. You know what I mean? So, it was different. You know what I mean? Back then.
Okay, so now you in the streets. You getting money again.
I get a little bit of money, you know what I'm saying? Meet a bunch of niggas on Lower East Side. We on Ridge Street in Lower East Side, little block, Ridge Mall. Salute to those dudes. what I'm saying? And we getting this bunch of young niggas with crack spots, and we going uptown and we copping coke at like 18 a gram. You know what I'm saying? I was getting like 18 a gram. Niggas was paying like 21. I'm getting like 18 a gram. I'm going up north, seeing Poppy up top to uptown, getting grams, coming down, seeing, and I'm giving it to mommy. And she's cooking it up. You know what I mean? And I'm chopping up, put my little valves, and I'm on the block with it. I mean, I'm giving it to my little mans.
At this time, you still with your peoples, your family, your moms, and everything?
No,
or you by yourself?
Yeah, this time I'm in my grandmother's house. I'm in Blount projects in my grandmother's house, but she's running down on me. She don't condone none of that. You know what I'm saying? She don't condone that. My family kind of separated. My moms and my sisters. My mom's decided, you know, my mom used to get money in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So she had one of her connects. God bless her, and he was a good dude as well. They were doing them, you know what I'm saying? And he wanted to move her out to Florida, and they was getting money out there. Further, she started tried to leave everything alone, bought a house out there, and tried, you know, she moved out from all that. You know what I mean? But I was already turned out as a young nigga. They did that while I was up north in DFY. You know what I mean? When I came home, I wasn't thinking about doing all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I came out and just went straight to the street, got back to the streets, went to my grandmother's house, and just went back to the streets, went to the block, see my mans. And he just, what he do, he gave me a pack. And I went right to the block, you know what I mean? And I pitched that. Once I got my money, I went, re-up, came back. Yo, bro, I need to do my own shit. Yo, niggas ain't gonna deny me to open up. So I opened up and I just started doing my thing. Found somebody in the building, wound up, you know, taking over the apartment. And by the time I was 15, I had my own apartment. I was 15 years old, I had my own apartment on the block. I was getting money, and you know, my mans was coming. They were getting money, young niggas getting money, and we went to clubs, shooting guns. It was great.
So when did you get into that, you know, situation where, you know, you caught the homicide?
A whole bunch of instances lead up to that, of course, but you know
it was beef.
Short. Nah, it wasn't. Well, it was a situation that where me and the guy had an altercation early on. We had gotten to you know, bullshit back and forth. Project shit, you know what I mean, and you know, reputation shit, the dumb shit. Now in hindsight, of course, you know, that someone definitely will lose their life on account of it. But you know, at the time, you know, he was a big guy. He had a reputation in the neighborhood of being a bully. You know what I mean, and you know, he's a crazy guy. You know what I mean, one of those type of guys. And although I was never a bully or whatever, I was always a tough kid. You know what I mean, I would always stand up to, you know, in the neighborhood, if anything would happen, if we were playing basketball or, you know, whatever, anything like that. I was kind of a tough kid. So we had some work or whatever. We had got into an incident, and he was big. He was a big kid, and I hit him with a cane. You know, a walking cane. I had a cane. Somebody had a cane. I don't know how the cane came about, but there was a cane there. Whatever. We was beefing. Whatever. He said some dumb shit. And anyway, he was big. You know what I'm saying? So I just grabbed the cane. I just started hitting him with the cane. You know what I mean? And that's what our little altercation led up to. And shortly thereafter, we supposedly deaded it. But then, you know, he got caught up for doing something and got locked up. And he I guess when he held a grudge. And then when we bumped heads later on, when he came home, you know, in that little year span, I'm into different things now. I'm playing with guns now, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna hit you with a cane now, you know what I'm saying? So he pops back up and we wound up, you know, bumping into each other, and I tried to I really did, honestly. I really tried to downplay the situation and be like, yo, bro, you know, I hit you for the cane. I hit you with the cane. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you was disrespecting me, whatever. You know, they have to go to that. You know, let's leave that shit alone. That's there. Like, you know, because I was getting money. I had my own crib, and it's funny. I wasn't even living in the P's no more. You know what I mean? And I just went there to my grandmother's house, and I bumped into him. He had just came home from doing a little bit somewhere, and it turns out, I'm sorry, man. we bump heads, so I'm trying to talk to him, and he's coming at me hostile, and I'm really downplaying it. And I got a gun on, and I'm still trying to play it downplay it. I'm like, yo, chill. Like, I already know what I'm gonna do. I've already been in many different situations around the city. You know what I mean? As a young kid, dealing with that type of shit. So I'm telling him leave it alone, and he just keeps insisting on it, bro. Like, word. And I'm kind of like not getting, you know, because I know what I know what I'm gonna do if it comes to it. So, and what he kept pushing it, and he kept reaching. You know, we're beefing, and we're just going back and forth. And at one point, he tells me like, yo, he's like, yo, where you been? And I'm like, what do you mean where I've been? Like, I ain't been around here. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, because I know him, and I'm trying to tell him, like, yo, leave that shit alone, but we had a fight when we was back then. That's it. Like, look how big you are, nigga. I had to hit you with a stick, nigga. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And now I got this pole, nigga. Like, yo, you know what I mean? Yo. Anyway, nigga just kept insisting, and I told him, like, chill, and he kept reaching under his coat. And I'm like, yo, my nigga, you keep talking, but why you reaching under your coat? It was like during winter time, he had a big, like a parka on, some kind of a big black parka coat on. And he kept reaching, talking shit, and reaching and shit, like call me out, like, yo, bitch ass nigga, all types of crazy shit. And I'm like, yeah. And he kept on, and then when he reached, I had enough of it. And, you know, he just, because he's amping himself, and he tried to reach and grab me. When he tried to reach and grab me, I dumped on him, and I left him there. And he was a big dude, so I hit him twice, and he fell. And then he got up, and I had trying to get up. I hit him 2 more times. So it was serious. It happened. I mean, you know, sometimes you do things you don't even know. You know what you're capable of sometimes, but
this is my life. My life. I love my city, but most people can't escape the trap. No more applause, no more my man getting clapped. We tend to oversee what the real problems are. Instead, we try to forget them, sitting at the bar. It's time to take a stand for every ounce of pain. Become adults, no finger waving, let's take the blame. Let me spit the truth, what the people want to hear. Vazina flow, making sure that you see it clear. Don't complain about the hate when you